So far in our application, we have our home screen and we have a screen where we can add trips to our application. But for every trip, we'll have multiple expenses and we need a screen to display all of those. So in this video, we'll be creating that particular screen. Let's go. Now let's start with the trip expenses for each individual trip. So what happens now if I click on any of the trip, let's say Goa, I'll go to this trip expenses page. So let's start designing this. So if you'll remember, there was a banner here and then a label with the place name, and then there was a list of all the expenses that we have for this particular trip, and there was an add expense trip button. So let's start creating this. So for this, I'll go to trip expenses page, and for this I'll have first of all a back button so that I can go back to the home screen from here. So now that we have a reusable UI component already created, it's going to be very easy. You can see this is here. So for this, what I'll say on press, let's go back. So we need a navigation here, navigation. So I'll say navigation.navigate, go back, not navigate, go back. So this will be working now. Yes, you can see I can go back. Also, if you'll remember from our home screen, for each of this touchable opacity, I was passing this item as a param to the navigation.navigate. Now I'm going to show you how to use that particular thing. So if you'll go to trip expenses, you can destructure one more thing here apart from navigation, that is route. So now if you'll say const selected trip is equal to route.params. So what is route.params? Whatever you pass after writing the name of the route screen, such as trip expenses, comma, whatever will pass after the comma will be your param. So if you will just hover over this, you can see here. So this particular item that we are passing will come as a route.param. So we can use it as a selected trip. So now we have our selected trip, whatever trip we had. Just to show you here, I'll do one thing. I'll just say text. I'll say selected trip dot place. If I'll see, you can see Goa here. So this is how it works. I'll just remove this. We don't need this here. The next thing is a banner container, obviously. So we'll create a view very quickly. So this is what happens when you code in React and React Native. You often confuse verbally between view and div. So the next thing, and also between style and class. So the next thing that we need is a banner container. So I'll give it a class style name of styles dot banner container. So inside this banner container, first of all, we'll need an image. For this image, I'll go to my assets and I'll export the banner for this one. So the banner name is okay, I don't have to export anything since I already have a banner here. So I'll be using this particular banner only. So I don't have to export anything from here. So I'll go to trip expenses, which is, where is my trip expenses? Here. So inside my trip expenses, I'll say image, and I have to import image from here. So I'll say image, and in this image, I have to pass the source. So source is going to be whatever my selected trip is, and dot banner. So you can see the illustration is being shown here only. So if I'll say that this green image, you can see a little bit of illustration here. If I see this one, you can see a illustration here. I'll just give it a style name so that I can style it very quickly. The style name is going to be styles.banner, and I'll just minimize this one. So the next thing after image is a label for my place name. So for that, I'll say a view, and inside my view, I'll say a text, text, which will be selected trip dot place. So yes, and I'll give this a class name as let's say place container and place. So style is equal to styles dot place container, and this is going to be a place. So let's say style is equal to styles dot place. Yeah. So I'll quickly style these three things: banner container, place container, and place. These four things basically. So I'll start with the banner first of all. So for the banner, I want height to be 240 pixels, not pixel, 240. So you can see the height is like this. The next thing that I want is width to be 125%. Since it's in percentage, I want it to be inside quotes. Now you can see it is shifted slightly towards the right, so I have to center it. So that I'll do with the wrapper body, which is this particular div. So also I want the resize mode to be cover. Now let's go to banner container. Banner container. For the banner container, obviously I just want it to be center. So I'll say flex. I'll say justify content to be center. I'll say align items to be not content, align items to be center. So as you can see, it's centered now, and I want this particular text, the place name, to be slightly on the banner. So what I'll do, I'll give this container a position of relative, so that relative to this I can place my place name in absolute position. So apart from banner container, the next thing that I have is my place container. So place and place container. So first of all, the place. So for the place, I want text to be centered. So I'll say text to be centered. The next thing that I want here is the color to be dark orange. So since again I told you that we are using one shade of orange, second shade that I'm going to use is a darker shade of orange. So in my theme, I'll say dark orange, which is F56753. Dark, or you can use other color if you want. If you want to customize it more, you can use your own hash codes from internet. You can choose any color palette that you want, but don't use more than 3-4 colors for your code. F56753. Now if I'll save this, and if I go to trips expenses, and the color was going to be colors dot dark orange. You can see Goa is being visible. I just have to give it some weight and some extra font size, font style. So font size has to be 20, and font weight has to be let's say 700. Yes, this will do. Yep, you can see it's looking better now. We just have to give it a background color and shift it a little upwards. So for that, I'll say place container. So for place container, what I need is the background color. I want it not visibility, background color. I want it to be colors dot white. So you can see there is a white shade behind the Goa text here. Apart from color, I want it to have a minimum width of 50%. So that it takes some space. And the next thing that I want is a vertical padding. So I'll say padding vertical. I want it to be 12, and I want it to be a little rounded corner. So I'll say border radius 18. Again, I'll keep it consistent throughout my app. And now I want it to be little shifted upwards. So I'll say position as absolute, and I'll say bottom as from bottom take -20, -20. So this will do. Yeah, as you can see, it's now placed slightly on the banner and half downwards. So this is how it looks. Our banner container is done. The next thing that I have to do is to create a button here to add new expenses. So let's get started with that. Since our screen wrapper is done, so after place we will go to this part, and here what we will do is we will create a view, and inside this view let's have a text first of all. I'll tell you why. So this will say expenses. So this is a kind of layout where there will be a text expenses for all the expenses below, and there will be a button to add expense. So this will be expenses, and then we will have a touchable opacity here. So inside the touchable opacity, I'll have a text, simple text, T capital text, which will say add expense, right? So as you can see, expense and add expense, both of these are here. I just have to style it. So let's give it a style name. So since this is a text and a button, I'll just give it a very simple style name. Styles dot button text, btn text button, text btn. And for this, I'll give it a class name, style name of subheading. So this is style is equal to styles dot subheading. And this, for this, I'll give it a style name of let's say button text, styles dot button text. Now, yep, I just have to style all of this. But before styling, what I'll do is, so suppose if I'm clicking on add expense, I should be taken to the screen of add expense, and apart from this, all my trip details should also be transferred to that particular screen as params. So you already know how to do that. because we just did it in the previous video. So for this, what I'll say, on press, just navigation.navigate. So I'll say navigation.navigate to which screen? It is add expense, and also pass the selected trip as param, so that I can get this data also on the next screen. So this is it. If I click on add expense, you can see I'm on the add expense screen. I'll just reload this particular part. I can't reload it. Anyway, I'll just close this app and I'll start this again. So to close this, I'll just minimize it from here like this and close it and then open it again. So yeah, where were we? Like if I click Goa, I'll be on this screen, and if I click on add expense, I'll be taken to add expense screen. So anyway, now that we have this thing, I'll just have to style it. So I'll go to my styles and I'll go to, first of all, subheading and button text. So I'll first of all, I'll style the button text, which will be right below this, which is button text, and I'll give it a comma. For button text, what I want the color to be dark orange, colors dot dark orange, and the next thing that I want is font weight to be a little dark, like extra. So I'll say 700 will do. So as you can see, add expense is looking like a button now. And apart from this, I'll style the text button, txt button. Text button is both of this in a single row. So I'll say for text button, display everything as flex. And apart from this, the flex direction should be row. So one thing which confuses me is that in React, the flex direction by default is row. In React Native, the flex direction by default is column. So make sure that you have that already in your knowledge, so that you don't encounter any unintentional bug. So justify content, I want it to be space between, and which will take the extreme ends, and I want some space between the banner and this button. So what I'll do is margin top and margin bottom. Margin top, I want this to be 32, and margin bottom, I want this to be 24. So yeah, this is looking nice. So I just have to style the expenses subheading right now. So for that, I'll say subheading. For subheading, I'll have a font size of 18. I'll have a font weight of let's say 600, and I'll have a color of text, the default color that we gave. So colors dot text. So as you can see, it looks really nice. Now we just have to render a flat list again with all the expenses that we have. So for that, what I'll do is that I'll first of all create a mock data again, const, let's say mock data. So what my mock data will be this will be an array. So it will be an array, and what kind of array? Let's say it will have an ID, of course. The next thing will be a title for whatever expenses I did. Let's say bought apple, right? And next will be category. Let's say food. So I'll have 5 categories right now. And finally amount. Let's say any amount. So I'll just copy this 3 more times. Command C, V, and V. So the second category will be entertainment. The next category will be let's say commute, which means whenever you are traveling, you commute a lot. And this will be shopping, and I need one more for others. Let's say this is others. So these are the categories that I'll be having. I'll just change the ID 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally 5. So if I save this, that's it. So now what will happen? I'll just create a flat list for all of these expenses, mock expenses that I have. So what I'll do, I'll go to this part where touchable opacity view. Here I'll create a flat list container. First of all, view, this is our flat list container. So I'll give it a style of styles dot flat list container, and inside this container I'll have my flat list. First of all, I'll have to import it from React Native. I'll minimize this so that it is visible. Let's say flat list. Now that it is imported, where were we? Where were here? Flat list And inside my flat list, this is a self-closing tag, obviously. The first thing that I need is a data. Data is going to be my mock data, which is mock data only. So let's say mock data. Next thing is render item. Render item, you already know, is whatever we are going to do with the particular item in the data that we have. So for that, I'll very quickly create a component here. So I'll say a folder trips, and for trips I'll say expense card.js. So React Native function exponent compo with style. So I'll say expense card. So this is the expense card that I'll be using for each of my flatlist data item. So for that, what I'll say, render item. For this, for each of the item that I have, what to do is just use the expense card and render it. So as you can see, there are 5 expenses and there are 5 expense card render. I'll pass the item as my expense so that I can use it inside my expense card. So I'll say expense is equal to item. Now this item is passed to the expense card where I can use it further. So this is the render item. Next thing that I need in my flat list is key extractor and vertical indicator. So I'll say show vertical scroll indicator, which is false, obviously. And it is important to have a key extractor. So key extractor is going to be my item.id. So this will work. So now that we have a key extractor, and finally we need an empty component as well, list empty component. So for that, I'll quickly create empty expenses thing here, empty expenses.js. So for empty expenses, what I'll do is, first of all, I'll export an asset here, empty tripify banner, and the next thing that I need is empty expenses, which is empty expenses, which is now not is equal to colon require images, and then it is expenses empty dot png. Now we have exported it from here. I'll go to empty expenses. I'll just copy this entire thing. I'll go to empty expenses. I'll paste it. I'll just rename this to empty expenses. I'll save it. And here you haven't recorded any expenses for this trip. Expenses for this trip. And I'll change this yet to be a full stop, and I'll change the banner image from empty expenses. That's it. So now what I will do is I'll use this empty component inside my trip expenses. So for this empty expenses, that's it. Now if I just comment out everything inside my array, I can see the empty state. You can see the empty state is working really nice. So now if I uncomment it out, now I just have to style each of the expense card and my trip expenses page will be done. So it's just few minutes of work from here. So let's go to expenses card, and inside the expenses card, we just have to keep in mind a few things, that each of the expense will have a different category. And since we are color coding the entire category, it's good to have an object here, export const category colors kind of theme will work here. So let's just say category bg, category underscore bg. So for each of the category background, I just need 5 for, first of all, for food, let's say hashtag E1D3EE, E1D3EE. The next one that I need is for commute. For commute, I want the color code to be B0E3D3. So hashtag B0E3D3. So this is for shopping, for commute basically. The next one that I need is for shopping. For shopping, let's say ECFAD7 hashtag. You can change the hash code if you want. You can choose your own color. I'm choosing this because these are light and subtle. ECFAD7. The next that I want is entertainment. For this, I want FFDFDD, hashtag FF DF DD. So this is here, and the final thing that I want is for other. For other, what I want is CAD3E9 hashtag CAD3E9. That's it. So now that I have all the category backgrounds for my expenses, let's just go and create the cards. So for my expense card here, what I'll do is I'll just first of all destructure the expense. Since I'm passing it as prop here, I'll just show from where. So in my trip expenses, as you can see, for my expense card, I'm passing the item as a prop in the name of expense. So in my expense card, I have expense. So let's get started. So for this view, the outer view that I have, we need a style name first of all, which is going to be styles dot something. But since we are using some custom style also, so I'll spread it out here. So I'll say styles dot card wrapper. So this, and additionally the background color I want it to be category BG, and then whatever my expense dot category is. So how this is working, I'll show you. So as you can see, for each of this card, I guess there is some spelling 1 2 3 4, there is some spelling mistake for one of the cards, because other, I guess others. Yes, now it's working. So you can see these are color coded. How this is working, I'll just show you in my where was I? Expense card. So what I'm doing, I'm saying that here is a card wrapper. So card wrapper. So whatever style I'm writing here, just copy this inside my style object. And additionally, for the background color, go to the category BG array, and whatever category is the expenses category, this expense category, just find the value of that and put it to the background color. And this is how I'm getting the color, a different color for each category of my expense. So now that we are here, I'll just style the card wrapper. I'll need a padding vertical and padding horizontal of 12. So this will work. And the next thing that I want is background color, a default background color in case there is some mistake. I don't need it actually, so I'll just remove this. The next thing is margin bottom of 12. So there is some space between two expenses, and obviously I want a few things inside this card. So I'll have is it as display as flex. I want the justify content to be a space between, and the next thing that I want is a flex direction to be as row. Finally, after this, I want border radius to be rounded. So I'll say 18. And if I save this, the expenses are looking really nice. Finally, I just want everything vertically to be center. So this is working now. So now that I have card wrapper, so apart from card wrapper, we have two divs, two views basically. One side will contain, this particular side will contain the detail of the expense, and this particular side will contain the amount. So I'll create two view very quickly. The first view will have two text, two text, first text. This will be expense.title, expense.title. Yes, bought apple, it's working nice. And the second text will be just category, expense.category. As you can see, food, entertainment, commute, everything is coming here. And for the next view, I just need one thing, which is amount. So I'll say text expense.amount. So this will be expense.amount. Perfect. Also, I need a rupee symbol here. So I'll just copy it from here. Rupee symbol. Copy it. I'll just paste it here. Now it's working, looking nice. I'll just give it a style names. All these of three will get some style name. So that the first one is expense title, expense category. I'll just say styles dot expense title, and this is as styles dot expense category, and finally for this I'll give it a style as styles dot amount. So we have all the styles, we just have to style it here. So the first thing that I have is amount. So for amount, I'll say font size to be 16 and a little more weight since it's amount, it's about money. So I'll say 600 will do. And finally, a color of text. So colors dot text. So this is looking nice. The next thing is expense title and expense category, which will come after C. So expense category. For expense category, I have font size of 12, and let's say margin vertical as margin vertical means some space between the category and the title as 4. And also I need one more like a little faded color here, so I'll add one more hex code inside my theme, which will be 677987. 677987. Oh, I just realized that I have been using a wrong hex code actually here. So I'll quickly do one thing. I'll go to my theme. Where is my theme? Here. So this one, I'll change this as faded text, and for my text, I'll use 2F4858. 2F4858. Hash code 2F4858. Yeah, now it looks good. So this, as you can see, the title and everything looks little vibrant now. And if I go here, I just have to style the this category and the title. So where was I? I was here. So color as colors dot faded text. So yeah, it is looking a little faded now. And the next thing that I have to style here is the final thing, that is the expense title. So I'll say expense title. Expense title, I need the font size to be 12, for margin vertical to be 4, and color to be font size to be 16 actually. And I don't need margin vertical since the category already has a margin. And this, for this I want a little extra weight, so I want it as 500. Great. And finally the text should be text color should be of text. Color should be of colors dot text, and that's it. So as you can see now that this trip expenses page is done. If you'll go to add trip, my add trip page is done. Finally, two things are remaining: add expenses page and Redux wiring. So it's just one more video and the entire application will be done. You'll have a full-fledged application for your resume. You can add it as your project. So still, if you haven't liked the video, do like it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe it. And if you have any doubts so far, do comment it. I'll reply to you for sure. So see you in the next video where we'll complete this entire application. Thank you.